Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. This is Tadrick again, talking about the reality of life. Magandang umaga, tanghali o gabi. Kung nasa panig man tayo ng mundo, naroroon at nandito na tayo upang tuntunin ang mangyayari dito sa kauna-unahang sona ng ating mahal na Pangulo, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. Ayan, magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. Kahit sumasakit na ang ulo ko dito sa ingay ng mixer na gumagawa sa tabi namin. At nagahan natin ng konti, hindi na tayo nagpakaaga-aga dahil wala pa naman tayong masyadong makukuhang feed, no? Pero babatin mo natin ang ating mga channel members. Mega shoutout sa ating mga Golden Warrior members. Manny Dayaw, Maldita de Primera, Ayi Hizon, Atilani Chokson, Regama, Tutorial TV, John Behis, Melka, Lulu, Lea Takahashi, Crisel de Salvador, Mami M at Concepcion Condes. At sa ating mga Diamond Warrior members, mega shoutout Ate Yolanda Valdez at MG Takahashi. Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong patuloy na pagsuporta dito sa ating munting tahanan at sa mga nagnanais po na mag-support sa atin through membership. Nandiyan lang naman po sa baba yung ating join button. Ayan. So, batiin mo natin ang ating mga nandito. Tayo ay nagbigay lang naman ng konting oras upang makabate. Pero ayusin muna natin itong ating setup para mamaya baka sabihin niya na naman nagsosolo ako. Ayan. Mega shoutout Sheila Huyatid, Food Day Vlog, Maldita de Primera, Myla Adarne, Michelle Pabelian, Josephine Macatula, Concepcion Condes, Ricardo Sotelo Guanzon, Torpe ako. Ayan ba, may bago Si Anthony Franz, torpe na ngayon. Aba, parang totoo. Ikaw pa naging torpe. Di ba? Ayan, so. Sabi nga, para makabati lang tayo. Thomas Jr. Layaw, ayan, magandang hapon. Sa mga nagnanais magpabati, sabi nga, pagka nag-switch ako, ay, hindi ko kayo mababasa. Kaya hanggat maaga-aga pa magpabati na mga magpapabati, pero mababati natin yan. Kuwap tayo na isang monitor. Ayan. Wait lang, ayusin lang natin dito sa ating cellphone para dito tayo mabati. Para kahit mag-switch ako, pwede akong bumati. No? Dito sa ating, ayan, lakas ng audio. Sana ba? Ayan, sana ba yung ating stand? Saglit ayusin ko lang. Kunin ko lang yung ating stand. Ayan, kinuha pala ng anak ko yung ating stand. Ayan, para kahit mag-switch ako, pwede akong bumati. Ayan, Thomas Jr. Layaw, Ate Yolanda Valdez, mega shout out. So, eto na yung mga munting kaganapan para kahit mag-switch tayo, meron tayong nakikita. Ayan, ganyan pa lang naman po sa kasalukuyan. And again, no, copyright infringement intended, no? This is courtesy of the Office of the Press Secretary at sa RTBM. Ano natin ng konti, wala pa naman, para at least on the spot, on the time tayo. Luz Sato, mega shout out. Ayan. Itan muna natin ng konti. Natatabunan yung ganda lalaki natin dito Ayan. Yeah, ayan Ayan yung dalawang helipad dyan sa sa buildingan ng Congress. Ayan. At bago ang lahat, sabi nga natin sa mga bago nating kasama dyan at maging sa mga dati nating kasama, please don't forget to click like, subscribe sa mga bago nating kasama na dyan. And don't forget to hit that notification bell and click all para lagi kang updated sa aking mga bagong uploads at maka-join ka sa ating mga live. Himayin at balitaktakan. And please share so we can spread the love and the knowledge. Ayan. Gumawa ng isa pang monitor no, para nakikita ko yung nga lang pagka may nasa Facebook, hindi ko na mapagsasabay-sabay buksan. Andito na ating dalawang monitor, tapos itong ating nag-iisang cellphone, hindi naman tayo nakakarag-karag. Ayan. So, kasalukuyan, ganyan pala naman ang sitwasyon sa mga kapaligiran, no? At paulit-ulit na lang pine-play at pinapakita yung mga dumarating, no? Diyan sa House of the Representatives. Kaya, Naganda lang naman tayo kasi pag nag-start na po yung Sona, hindi na po tayo makakabati pa. Kaya sa mga nagnanais na magpabati, sabi nga ganun kaway-kaway na pag may time. Diba? Parang tapos sabay ulan, sana may sasakyan naman si BBM sana umulan lang ng umulan para yung mga mas chuchulit sa labas magsiuwian. Wawa naman yung kanilang no? Yung kanilang hindi FPG, nalukos ng ulan, ayan. Sino kaya best dress ngayon? Kanina, iba na naman yung suot niya pagpasok ni Ime ng ating SAP to the President, no? Siya super ate to the President. Tioli, iba na naman yung suot Etong si Ate Ime, nagmamaganda masyado, kukurutin ko to Ayan. Ayan, yan yung ni-renovate na inayos sa House of the Representative. Ayan, na ginawa natin ng isang paalala na para kasi masyadong pinakaka-highlight na gumastos daw ng 100 milyon pesos. Diba? Ayun nga lang, hindi ko na makikita pala yung mga nasa mababati pala sa Facebook. Mga nasa Facebook, paano ba yun? Wala, nakikita ko na lang dito yung nasa YouTube Kasi nakaswitch tayo Pero wala pa namang ginagawa. Puro best dress pa lang ang tinitingnan natin. Para sila nagmumodel-model. Ayan, no? So, mas nilakihan po yung capacity ng house. Kaya po nagkaroon ng renovation. Ayan. Para sa pagkakaintindi, hindi naman po ginastos yung 100 milyon para diyan lang sa ilang oras o saglit na Sona ng ating Pangulo. Okay? Wala bang copyright yung tugtog na yan? Wala pa naman pinagsasalita. Mamaya natin buksan yung boses. Teka, lalabas muna tayo dito. Ayan. Sino ba yung dumadaan na yan? Ayan. May dumarating. Saan na ba? Ayan sila. Ang dalawang leader. Wow, ang ganda ng inday ng buhay ko. Si Irene, no? Yung mga mga grupong Irene, lagi hinahanap si Irene. Lagi hinahanap si Irene, para lagi nawawala si Irene. Yeah. Okay na ho siya. Pagtapos sa sinabi na nag-positive ang First Lady, katabi ang ating Vice Presidente. Ayan, simpleng-simple ang gown, no? At nakapang si BP Inday Sara. How do I call you? Inday Sara po. Pag matigas ang ulo, ikaw talaga PBBM, sabi sa iyo Inday Sara lang Diba? Nagpalit pagkita ko kanina bago ko na-click yung live, nakagaw na si Ime Nakiki-ime tayo kasi ang tawag ni PBBM sa atin niya Ime. Baka tayo mabatukan ni Ate Ime. Nakiki-ime. Ayan. Ganda na ng inaayos ng ng HOR di ba? Galing ng target Iba talaga no. Ginamitan ba yan ng ng email defect? Ang bilis nangyari yung yung renovation Ayan. So at this time, pag ganyan-ganyan yan, palabas-labas masok, tapos ayan.
Attain its independence.
Freedom and prosperity.
Filipino spirit.
Ang ating mga kababayan.
Emerging market in the region.
Buhay na buhay na
Saan nga natin?
Pilipinas, a land of promise.
At sakripisyo ng bawat isa.
This is a historic moment for us all. You, the people, have
Babs
spoken.
Cruz,
and it is
Nessie B. Mega shout.
Sa pangarap na maging mapayapa ang ating bansa, ang pangarap nyo ay pangarap ko. Have
Nessie Paul
hope.
pala yan, Nessie Paul.
The sun also rises like it did today and as it will tomorrow. And as surely as that, we will achieve the country all Filipinos deserve. A country that, in almost every sense, is you. Now imagine what you and government can achieve together. Our future we decide today. Yesterday cannot make that decision anymore, nor can tomorrow delay it. The sooner we start, the surer and quicker the prospect of achieving our future. Never forget, we are Filipinos. One nation, one republic, indivisible. At pinakinggan ko ang tinig ninyo na ang sinisigaw ay pagkakaisa, pagkakaisa, pagkakaisa.
Ayan na. Ang ating mahal na presidente. I-off ko muna yung mic ko kasi nag-mixer sa labas eh. Paano ba ako lalabas? Wait lang. Ay, sana.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
On the part of the Senate, the joint session is called to order.
On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint session is called to order. Please rise for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem, to be led by the Samiwang Singers of Ilocos Norte.
Bayang magiliw, pero nagsilanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, ulit ka ng mag-ibig, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisigil, sa dagat at bundok, sa siwan, sa langit mong bakaw, may nilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang tislap ng matawat mo'y tamo, ay nanagliliglig, ang bituin at araw ng kailan, pang may di magdidilim, lupa ng araw lalay, ating pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya dapat may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Please remain standing for the nation's prayer.
Aming manlilikha, tagapagbigay buhay at liwanag ng sangkatauhan. Salamat po sa iyong pagtangkilig at paggabay sa bansang Pilipinas. Salamat po sa kalayaang magtipon tulad ngayon ayon sa talaga ng aming saligang batas.
Salamat po na kami dahil sa kabayanihan, pagsisikap at sakripisyo ng aming mga ninuno at mga bayani ay nabuo upang maging isang bansa at isang malayang demokratikong republika. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
Pagpalain niyo po ang aming pagtitipon ngayon upang aming dinggin, liwanagan at suriin ang kalagayan ng bayan, ang state of the nation. At upang italaga sa inyong gabay at tangkilik ang mga magiging hakbangin ng pamahalaan sa pangunguna ng aming Pangulo, Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr.
Biyayaan niyo po kami, mga mamamayan at mga namumuno, ng patuloy at tumitibay na pagkakaisa, pagtutulungan at pagmamahalan bilang pagsunod sa inyong mabuti at magandang kalooban.
Kasihan niyo po ang aming Pangulo at ang pangkat ng kanyang mga tagapangasiwa, ang aming mga mambabatas, ang aming mga hukom, at ang mga tagapagpairal ng katarungan, ng dalisay at ibayong kaliwanagan, karunungan, katuwiran, at katapatan sa kanilang banal na tungkulin.
Patuloy niyo kaming turuan
At atahayin kaming lahat na mga mamamayan at mga pinuno tungo sa dakilang pagkakaisa na magbubunga ng ibayong kapayapaan, kaayusan, kaunlaran, kasaganaan, at kasiyahan ng lipunang Pilipino.
Magpatuloy po tayo sa personal na panalangin. Mangyaring ang bawat isa ay tahimik na manawagan sa may kapal.
ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of the Congress of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte, former Presidents Joseph Ejercito Estrada, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, and the honorable members of the Senate, House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, and the honorable members of the House of Representatives, Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo, and the honorable justices of the Supreme Court, the Apostolic Nuncio, Most Reverend Charles John Brown, and the esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps, the honorable members of the Cabinet, our First Lady, Luis Araneta Marcos, and our children, distinguished guests, ang mga minamahal kong mga kababayan, ladies and gentlemen, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. I come before you today to address you as it is my duty as President of the Republic. We live in difficult times brought about by some forces of our own making, but certainly also by forces that are beyond our control. But we have, and we will continue to find solutions, and these are some of them. In terms of the economy, we will implement a sound fiscal management. Tax administration reforms will be in place to increase revenue collection. Expenditure priorities will be realigned and spending efficiency will be improved to immediately address the economic scarring arising from the effects of COVID-19 and also to prepare for future shocks. Productivity-enhancing investments will be promoted. Our country must become an investment destination, capitalizing on the corporate recovery and tax incentives for enterprises with the CREATE law and the economic liberalization laws such as the Public Service Act and the Foreign Investments Act. Ecozones will be fully supported to bring in strategic industries such as those engaged in high-tech manufacturing, health and medical care, and all emerging technologies. This is also seen to facilitate economic growth outside of Metro Manila. Our tax system will be adjusted in order to catch up with the rapid developments of the digital economy, including the imposition of value-added tax on digital service providers. The initial revenue impact will be around 11.7 billion pesos in 2023 alone. Tax compliance procedures will be simplified to promote ease of paying taxes. We will pursue measures to determine possible undervaluation and/or trade misinvoicing of imported goods. Through information and communications technology, the Bureau of Customs will promote streamlined processes. Disbursements for 2022 to 2023 will be maintained at above 20% of gross domestic product or 4.955 trillion pesos and 5.086 trillion pesos respectively to ensure continuous implementation of priority programs. Disbursement will further increase over the medium term from 5.402 trillion pesos or 20.7% of our GDP in 2024 to 7.712 trillion pesos, or 20.6% of GDP in 2028. The medium-term fiscal strategy of this administration seeks to attain short-term macro-fiscal stability while remaining supportive of the country's economic recovery and to promote medium-term fiscal sustainability. Furthermore, and more importantly, fiscal policy aims to bring together the national government's resources so that these are mobilized and utilized in order to gain the maximum benefit and the high multiplier effects for our economy. Measurable medium-term macroeconomic and fiscal objectives include the following headline numbers. These are based on forecasts that are consistent with the guiding principles of coherence of strategies, policy discipline, and fiscal sustainability. 6.5 to 7.5% real gross domestic product growth in 2022. 6.5 to 8% real GDP growth annually between 2023 and 2028. 9% or single-digit poverty rate by 2028. 3% national government deficit to GDP ratio by 2028. Less than 60% national government debt to GDP ratio by 2025. At least $4,256 income per capita, and the attainment of upper middle income status by 2024. The aforementioned headline goals summarize the objectives of this medium-term fiscal strategy being submitted to Congress for its adoption and concurrence to the concurrent resolution by the Senate and House of Representatives. Once adopted, the MTFF will become an anchor for the annual spending and financing plan of the national government and Congress when preparing the annual budget and undertaking related appropriation activities. It is therefore a forward-looking document that extends beyond the traditional 3-year horizon to reach 6 years, coinciding with the 6-year coverage of the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028. The MTFF also promotes transparency and credible commitment to pursue the indicated social macroeconomic goals that optimize the government budget. Medium-term growth targets and the assumptions regarding key macroeconomic variables underpin the medium-term fiscal plan. The recent past and the COVID-19 pandemic has beset the macroeconomic environment with challenges and a series of external shocks. Inflation has accelerated in recent months due largely to significant increases in international prices of oil and other key commodities. Still, the economic growth momentum remains firm, as demonstrated by the strong 2022 first quarter GDP growth at 8.3%. However, the recovery process from the impact of the pandemic is still ongoing amid elevated uncertainty in the international economic environment. Revisions in the macroeconomic assumptions incorporate these challenges and most recent economic developments leading to upward adjustments in the following: inflation rate for 2022 to 2023, foreign exchange rate for 2023 to 2025, and goods and services imports growth for 2022. The economy is expected to grow by 6.5 to 7.5% this year as we continue to reopen the economy while considering the recent external developments. In the first quarter alone, GDP saw an increase in household consumption and private investments, along with a robust manufacturing industry, high vaccination rate, improved healthcare capacity, and an upward trend in tourism and employment. This is expected to continue for the rest of the year. The strong economic growth is projected to be sustained and expanded further to 6.5 to 8% from 2023 until 2028. The average inflation for 2022 is projected to range from 4.5 to 5.5%, following the uptick in fuel and food prices as a result of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict and the disrupted supply chains. It is slightly adjusted to 2.5 to 4.5% in 2023 and is seen to return to the target range of 2.0 to 4.0% by 2024 until 2028. Dubai crude oil price is expected to settle at 90 to 110 US dollars per barrel in 2022, 80 to 100 US dollars per barrel in 2023, and 70 to 90 US dollars per barrel from 2024 onwards, as oil supply is expected to catch up and stabilize over the medium term. The Philippine peso is projected to average between 51 to 53 pesos per US dollar in 2022 and 51 to 55 pesos per US dollar from 2023 onwards due to aggressive monetary policy tightening by the US Federal Reserve, market aversion amid the Russian-Ukraine conflict, and again, increased global oil prices. Lastly, exports of goods are expected to grow by 7% in 2022 and 6% from 2023 to 2028. On the other hand, imports of goods are projected to grow by 18% in 2022, 6% in 2023, and 8% from 2024 to 2028. I have instructed the NEDA to coordinate with other agencies and work on the Philippine Development Plan for 2023 to 28 and to submit to me the complete blueprint and progress of its implementation not later than year-end. One of the main drivers of our push for growth and employment will be in the agricultural sector. With regard to food supply, we are confronted by a two-pronged problem, that which will hit us in the short term and that which will hit us in the long term. Tayo ay nahaharap sa mga problemang kagyat nating mararamdaman at mga hamong pangmatagalan. Ang mga suliraning agarang mararamdaman ng ating mga kababayan ay ang posibilidad ng tuloy-tuloy na pagsipa ng presyo ng pagkain at kakulangan sa supply ng ating pagkain. Upang masuportahan ang mabimili para mapanatili ang kanilang purchasing power o kapangyarihan sa pagbili, isinapinal ng Department of Agriculture ang planong taasan ang produksyon sa susunod na panahon ng pagtanim o planting season sa pamamagitan ng tulong pinansyal at teknikal. Magbibigay tayo ng pautang habang mas ilalapit natin sa sektor ng agrikultura ang hindi gaanong mahal na farm inputs na bibilhin na ng bulto ng gobyerno. Kabilang dito ang abono, pestisidyo, mga punla, feeds, fuel subsidy, at ayuda para sa mga karapat-dapat na benepisyaryo. Para sa pangmatagalang solusyon, itataas natin ang produksyon ng mga kalakal at produktong pang-agrikultura. At para magawa ito, pagtitibayin natin ang tinatawag na value chain na nagsisimula sa mga magsasaka hanggang sa mga namimili. May mga bahagi ng value chain na sa ngayon ay kanya-kanya ang operasyon. Pagtibayin natin ang koordinasyon ng iba't ibang bahagi nito. Ang pagsasaliksik para sa mga makabagong paraan at ng pagtatanim at pag-aalaga ng hayop ay masusing gagabayan ng Department of Agriculture. Ang produksyon ng farm inputs o mga kakailanganin ng mga magsasaka sa pagpapalago ng kanilang sakahan ay ating iaayon sa mga hamong dala ng climate change at global warming. Mahigpit na pagsusuri ang gagawin ng ating mga eksperto tungo dito. Ang mga pautang at financial assistance sa mga magbubukid at mangingisda ay magiging institusyon at patakaran ng aking administrasyon. Ipapaprioridad natin ang modernisasyon ng mga sakahan sa pamamagitan ng mga makabagong teknolohiya para sa ating mga magsasaka. Atin palalawakin ang mga palaisdaan, babuyan at manukan. Lahat ng ito gagamitan ng siyensya para tumaas ang produksyong agrikultural. Maging ang post-production at processing ay susuportahan ng pamahalaan. Gagawa tayo ng network, national network ng farm-to-market road upang mas mabilis na mailakbay ng mga magsasaka ang kanilang mga produkto sa mga pamilihan. At gagawa tayo ng mga paraan upang maramdaman ng mga mamimili ang pagluluwag ng presyo ng mga produktong pagkain sa kayang halaga, gaya ng muling pagbubuhay ng mga Kadiwa Center. Hindi ito magagawa sa isang araw. Hindi magagawa sa isang buwan o isang taon lamang. Ngunit, kailangan na natin simulaan ngayon. Ang Agrarian Reform Program ay dapat magpatuloy. Agrarian reform is not only about acquisition, but also about support services and distribution. To assist this, I intend to issue an executive order to impose a one-year moratorium on the payment of land amortization and interest payments. This is included in Republic Act number 11469 or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. A moratorium will give the farmers the ability to channel the resources in developing their farms, maximizing their capacity to produce, and propel the growth of our economy. Civil society organizations also support this because it will unburden the farmers of their dues and be able to focus on improving farm productivity. Congress must also pass a law that will emancipate the agrarian reform beneficiaries from the agrarian reform debt burden, thereby amending Section 26 of Republic Act 6657. In this law, the loans of agrarian reform beneficiaries with unpaid amortization and interest shall be condoned. Layunin ng batas na ito ay burahin ang hindi mabayarang utang ng ating mga magsasaka na benepisyaryo ng agrarian reform. Agrarian reform beneficiaries who are still to receive their awarded land under the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program shall receive it without any obligation to pay any amortization. The condonation of the existing agrarian reform loan will cover the amount of 58.125 billion pesos, benefiting 654,000 agrarian reform beneficiaries and involving a total of 1.18 million hectares of awarded lands. Executive Order number 75, Series 2019 requires that all government agencies, bureaus, departments, and instrumentalities to turn over agricultural lands to qualified agrarian reform beneficiaries. At present, we have a total of 52,000 hectares of unused agricultural lands of the government, which shall now be used for distribution to the following sectors in accordance with Section 40 of the Republic Act number 6657 as amended. Thus, landless war veterans, landless surviving spouse and orphans of war veterans, landless retirees of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police. Agricultural lands acquired under this program will be given to graduates of college degrees in agriculture who are landless. The call of the times is for the infusion of fresh and new blood in the agricultural sector. We need a new breed of farmers equipped with modern agricultural technology able to engage in sustained scientific farming that will not only increase farm yields, but also resilience in the face of climate change. They say that each brand has a story. As for the Filipino brand, ours is deeply rooted in our rich cultural heritage, and the tourism sector plays an invaluable role in the promotion of the Filipino brand. Tourism is not only an important economic development tool, but the abundance of opportunities that the sector creates in terms of regular employment and even job creation at the grassroots level is undeniable. To boost our tourism industry, we will first and foremost make basic developments, such as road improvements for easier access to tourism spots. We will also upgrade our airports and create more international airports to help decongest the bottleneck in the Manila airport. We will also make it more convenient for travelers to go around the country, even to remote areas, to help promote undiscovered tourist spots. This program will be led by the Department of Tourism together with the Department of Public Works and Highways. To foster the Filipino brand is to spark our sense of pride and reaffirm our strong sense of identity. It is time to welcome the rest of the world with an enhanced Filipino brand that is unique, attractive, and creative. The creativity of the Filipino is truly world-class. We excel in arts and culture, new media, live events, avenues which generate primary and downstream jobs for our creative and talented countrymen. Unfortunately, ang mga hanap buhay na ito ang unang pinadapa ng pandemya at ang pinakahuli namang makabalik sa normal. The creative industry likewise faces many challenges, including workplace conditions, working hours, intellectual property rights, and the welfare of our beloved freelancers who were left vulnerable during the height of the pandemic. We require an institutionalized creative industry that will advance the interest of its stakeholders. Sila na nagbibigay ng kaluluwa at pagkakilala sa ating pagka-Pilipino. Protektahan natin sila. The Department of Social Welfare and Development has a large part to play in all of this. Magpapatuloy ang ating pagkalinga sa ating mga kababayan na lubos na nangangailangan. Hindi po natin sila pababayaan. Mangunguna sa pag-aagapay sa kanila ang Department of Social Welfare and Development. Utos ko sa DSWD ang mabilis na pagtugon sa pangangailangan ng mga biktima ng kalamidad at mga iba't ibang krisis. Ang mga field office nila ay inatasan na maagang maglagak ng family food packs at non-food essentials sa mga LGU, bago pa man manalasa ang anumang kalamidad. Magdadagdag tayo ng mga operation center, warehouse at imbakan ng relief goods, lalo na sa mga malalayong lugar na mahirap marating. Titiyakin natin na maayos ang koordinasyon ng DSWD at Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development nang sa ganon madali ang pagpatupad ng Emergency Shelter Assistance Program para sa mga biktima ng kahit anong kalamidad. Pagtitibayin pa natin ang komprehensibong programang Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations o ang ating tinatawag na AICS para maiparating ang tulong sa mas maraming biktima. Hindi natin papahirapan ang mga biktima ng krisis na dudulog sa ahensya. Gagawin nating simple ang proseso ng paghingi at pagparating ng tulong. Dahil hindi naman dapat dinadagdagan pa ang hirap ng nararanasan ng ating mga mamamayan. Upang matiyak na mapupunta sa kwalipikadong mga pamilya ang tulong na pamahalaan sa pamamagitan na 4Ps o Pantawid Pamilya Pilipino Program, titiyakin natin na malilinis ang listahan ng benepisyaryo. Higit na sa 1 milyong pangalan na ang nakapag-graduate na sa listahan. At nagagalak akong mabatid na sila ay nakakatayo na sa kanilang sariling paa. Kaugnay nito ay inutusan ko ang DSWD na pag-ibayuhin pa ang pagrepaso ng listahan upang maitutok ang pamimigay ng sapat na ayuda sa mga lubos na nangangailangang pamilya. Magpapatuloy ang supplemental feeding program para sa mga bata sa child development centers at supervised neighborhood play at lalo pa nating palalawakin sa taong 2023. Hindi rin natin nakakalimutan ang mga solo parents at mga nanay na nahiwalay sa kanilang mga mister dahil sa karahasan. Pagtitibayin natin ang programa sa violence against women and their children. Kabilang na ang counseling para sa mga biktima, katuwang ang ating mga LGU. Tiyakin natin na sapat ang pondo sa halos 70 residential care centers at 7 non-residential care centers para sa vulnerable sectors at persons with disabilities na sumisilong dito. Sa ating sitwasyon ng pangkalusugan, nariyan pa rin ang banta ng COVID-19. Lalo't may mga nadidiscovering bagong variant ng coronavirus. Pero hindi na natin kakayanin ang isa pang lockdown. Wala na tayong gagawing lockdown. Dapat natin balansehin ng maayos ang kalusugan at kapakanan ng ating mga mamamayan sa isang banda at ang ekonomiya naman sa kabilang banda. Nakikipagtulungan ang iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan sa pag-monitor sa mga COVID-19 hospital admission upang makatiyak tayo na may sapat na kapasidad ang ating healthcare system at maiwasan ang pagsipa ng bilang ng nagkakasakit. Patuloy din ang ating vaccine booster rollout para sa ating pangkalahatang depensa. Sa ganitong paraan, kahit pa tumaas muli ang bilang ng mga COVID cases, mananatiling mababa ang bilang ng mga maospital at bilang ng mga namamatay. Sa pamamagitan nito, unti-unti rin tayong masasanay na nariyan ang virus, pero hindi na seryoso ang banta sa ating buhay. Iaayon natin ang ating mga health protocols sa kung ano ang ating pangangailangan sa paglipas ng panahon at lalo pang iibayuhin ang kooperasyon kasama ang pribadong sektor upang tumaas pa ang kumpiyansa ng mga mamumunuhan nang sa gayon ay bumalik na tayo sa full capacity, lalo-lalo na ang ating mga negosyo. Pagbubutihan pa natin ang pagpapakalat ng tamang impormasyon ukol sa COVID, kasama ang kahalagahan ng bakuna. Mananatili muna sa ngayon ang alert level system natin. Pinapag-aralan natin ang ibang paraan ng klasifikasyon upang mas babagay sa kasalukuyang sitwasyon, lalong-lalo na sa pagbabago ng COVID. Sa pakikipagtulungan ng Kongreso, itatatag natin ang ating sariling Center for Disease Control and Prevention at ang isang Vaccine Institute. Magtatayo tayo ng dagdag na mga health center at ospital. But beyond the issues that the pandemic has brought, the need for a stronger healthcare system is self-evident. We must bring services, medical services to the people and not wait for them to come to our hospitals and healthcare centers. Napakinabangan natin ng husto ang malalaking specialty hospital gaya ng Heart Center, Lung Center, Children's Hospital at National Kidney and Transplant Institute. Kaya maliwanag na hindi lang dapat dito sa National Capital Region kundi maging sa ibang parte ng bansa. Maliwanag na hindi lamang dapat dito lamang sa National Capital Region, kundi maging sa ibang parte ng bansa, kailangan magdagdag ng ganitong uri ng mga pagamutan. Bukod dito, upang mailapit natin ang healthcare system sa taong bayan, nang hindi sila kailangang pumunta sa sentro ng kanilang bayan, lalawigan o region, ay maglalagay tayo ng mga clinic, mga RHU, na pupuntahan ng mga doktor, nurse, midwife, medtech, 1 beses, 2 beses sa 1 linggo. Nang sa ganun, magiging mas madali sa may karamdaman na magpapagamot nang hindi na kailangan magbiyahe ng malayo. One of the cornerstones of a strong healthcare system is the provision of competent and efficient medical professionals. We will exert all efforts to improve the welfare of our doctors, our nurses, and other medical frontliners. Dapat din tayong magkaroon ng sapat na supply ng gamot na kinakailangan sa pang-araw-araw ng ating mga mamamayan. Sinimulan ko na ang pakikipag-usap sa mga kumpanya ng gamot dito sa Pilipinas at sa ibang bansa. Hinihikayat natin na buksan nila ang merkado upang bumaba ang presyo ng gamot. Halimbawa, kung mas marami ang mas murang generic o hindi branded na gamot sa merkado, mas bababa rin ang presyo dahil sa kompetisyon. Ang Department of Trade and Industry ay nakikipag-usap sa mga interesadong manufacturer ng generic drugs na papasok sa ating bansa. Inuutusan ko naman ang Philippine Competition Commission na pantay-pantay dapat at walang kartel sa hanay ng mga pharmaceutical companies. Dahil kapag bukas ang merkado, bababa ang presyo ng gamot para mapakinabangan ng ating mga mamamayan. This is one of the hard lessons that we learned when the pandemic struck, and therefore we must act on that shortcoming. In the educational sector, I believe it is time for our children to return to full face-to-face classes once again. The Department of Education, led by our highly able Vice President Sara Duterte, is now preparing for its implementation in the upcoming school year, with utmost consideration for the safety of students as we are still in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. We must ensure that our classrooms are safe for teachers, for students, and the entire academic community when they return to face-to-face classes. We continue to encourage everyone to get their booster shots in preparation for the resumption of in-person classes. This is one of the reasons I have directed the Department of Health and the Department of Interior and Local Government to undertake another rollout of booster shots. The condition and availability of schoolrooms for our students must also be addressed again, in coordination with the Department of Public Works and Highways. Though some complications have arisen over the question of repair of school buildings in relation to the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, this will be ironed out. We have been in discussion with local government leaders, governors, and mayors in the last few weeks to determine with the LGUs what is actually practicable, what functions belong to the LGUs, and what belong to the national government. There have also been lengthy discussions on the continuation and viability of the K-12 school system. We are giving this careful review, and all necessary inputs and points of view are now being considered. In the longer term, we are instituting a program of refresher courses and retrainings for our teachers so they can stay abreast of the rapid growth in technology, especially in this post-pandemic world. As for the horror stories that we have heard about the poor quality of educational materials and supplies that are being given to our schools, this must end. Our children must always be equipped with the best that we can provide. Ang edukasyon ay ang tangi nating pamana sa ating mga anak na hindi mawawaldas. Kaya anumang gastusin sa kanilang pag-aaral ay hindi tayo nagtitipid. Hindi rin tayo nagtatapon. And once again, I am not talking about history or what is being taught. I am talking about materials that are necessary for effective teaching in this day and age. Children now need connectivity to the internet. They need devices to use. They need computers, educational tools. So that they might participate fully in the digital community here and abroad. We must do better in the international rankings, especially when it comes to the so-called STEM subjects: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These skills, this knowledge, are necessary for our young people to be able to compete in a highly technological and competitive world. The raw talent is there in our young people. It is up to our educational system to develop and to refine that great pool of talent. Foreign employers have always favored Filipino employees because of our command of the English language. This is an advantage that we must continue to enjoy. The internet has now become the global marketplace, not only for goods, services, but also for ideas, even extending to our own personal interactions. And the language of the internet, for better or for worse, is English. Therefore, the question of our medium of instruction must be continuously re-examined to maintain that advantage that we have established as an English-speaking people. On a related subject, we are entering an age of exponential adoption of technology. It is the fourth industrial revolution. This will be characterized by the infusion of technology into almost every facet of our lives. Breakthrough technologies in the areas of quantum computing, artificial intelligence, nanotechnologies, the Internet of Things, robotics, self-driving electric vehicles, 3D printing, virtual and augmented realities, among others, that will radically transform the way business is done. The scale and the speed at which these innovations are introduced universally into our everyday lives and activities is unprecedented in our recorded history. We cannot stand idly by. The mission of our Department of Information and Communications Technology is to identify and utilize these innovations to improve governance. It has the daunting task now of transforming our government into an agile bureaucracy that is responsive to the needs of the public. Provide good and solid data to ensure informed decision-making, as well as allow secure and seamless access to public services. The voluminous records stored in the government warehouses and archives have to be digitized. Those that are already stored in various inventories of data should be harmonized and shared across departments and agencies. Needless to say, these have to be kept in large data centers that are secure yet accessible. The national ID will play an important part in this digital transformation. For citizens to be able to seamlessly transact with government, their identity must be easily verifiable. We expect to issue 30 million physical IDs and 20 million digital IDs by the end of this year. The target is to accomplish the issuance of about 92 million IDs by the middle of next year. As the world moves into rapid digitalization, the digital divide will become more pronounced. The depth and breadth at which these technologies will be transformative in our lives is fully expected. This will open new opportunities for the creation of wealth, but will also likely create inequalities. Hence, universal connectivity will be a vital component in order to ensure that no citizen is left behind. I have therefore tasked the DICT to deploy digital connectivity across our various islands. This will be done through the implementation of the National Broadband Plan, the Common Tower Program, connecting our geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas via our Broadband ng Masa project. All relevant modes of digital transport should be utilized. These may be through a combination of terrestrial or submarine fiber optics, wireless, and even satellite technology. As our Public Service Act has opened the doors and removed the restrictions on foreign investment, we foresee an increase in direct investment of overseas players. This will translate into better quality, availability, and affordability of telecommunication services all over the country. We come now to infrastructure. The backbone of an economy is its infrastructure. The infrastructure program of the Duterte administration must not only continue, but wherever possible, be expanded. We shall confidently build on this firm foundation established by my predecessor, as it is in building an edifice. We must keep the momentum and aspire to build better, more. Necessarily, infrastructure development will remain a very high priority in our drive for growth and employment. Once again, I will not suspend any of the ongoing projects, as those have already been shown to be of benefit to the public that they serve. We will continue to study the proposals that have been made. Infrastructure development spending will be sustained at 5 to 6% of GDP. The planned expansion of infrastructure projects, I believe, would be possible if we continue to encourage the participation of the private sector in the development of our programs. Public-private partnerships, or PPPs, hold great potential for that expansion, for infrastructure development, and for innovation. Our infrastructure development is of primary importance, as it is a necessary element to improve many other sectors, to include agriculture, tourism, general economic activity, and even to governance. It is my belief also that we have missed some great opportunities to develop our rail transport system. It is clear in my mind that railways offer great potential, as it continues to be the cheapest way of transporting goods and passengers. We can build upon already existing lines by modernizing these old railway systems. There are dozens of railway projects on the ground, above the ground, below ground, not just in Manila, but in other regions, at various stages of implementation and with a combined cost of 1.9 trillion pesos. This administration is committed to finish building the current portfolio of investments, approved railway projects such as the North-South Commuter Railway System, the 33-kilometer Metro Manila Subway Project, the 147-kilometer North-South Commuter Railway System, the 12-kilometer LRT-1 Cavite Extension, the 23-kilometer MRT-7, and the common station that will connect LRT-1, MRT-3, and MRT-7. And beyond NCR, larger scale railway systems like the 102-kilometer Mindanao Railway Project, the Panay Railway Project, and the Cebu Railway System will be integrated as a vital part of our transport and communication systems. We will also continue to improve our roads and transportation systems in key cities throughout the country through various projects, such as the Cebu Bus Rapid Transit, Davao High Priority Bus System, Ilocos Norte Transportation Hub, the El Nido Transport Terminal. My order to the Department of Transportation, or DOTR, is really very simple. Full speed ahead. Improving our railway system, along with modernizing existing airports and seaports, will maximize our strategic location in the Pacific and connect our many islands. A key sector in our transformation plans is that of energy. Another fundamental requirement for growth and increased employment will be the availability of cheap, reliable energy. This even comes under the category of ease of doing business. If we are to attract investors, both local and foreign, to set up shop here in the Philippines. At present, our demand for energy far exceeds our reliable supply. We must increase the level of energy production. We must look at every possible option that would be appropriate for the Philippine situation. There is some room to expand our present power supply through existing power sources, but this is only to a very limited extent. We must build new power plants. We must take advantage of all the best technology that is now available, especially in the areas of renewable energy. Our search for new power sources should always be with an eye to improving the mix of the energy supply between traditional and renewable sources. The technology on renewable energy is progressing rapidly, and many of these technologies are appropriate for the Philippines. We have already begun windmill power. We are now expanding very quickly our solar power production. For both offshore and onshore wind turbines, for example, the World Bank has calculated that there is a potential for 255 gigawatts by the year of 2030. Solar power has steadily increased its efficiency in converting sunlight to electrical power, which is particularly attractive for the Philippines. Because unlike wind power, solar power is practical almost everywhere in the Philippines all year round. In the move to lowering our carbon footprint caused by energy production, our advancement to renewables will have a lead time. In the interim, natural gas will hold the key. We will provide investment incentives by clarifying the uncertain policy in upstream gas, particularly in the area close to Malampaya. This requires clarification of the processes and review of service contracts policy. I believe that it is time also to re-examine our strategy towards building nuclear power plants in the Philippines. We will comply, of course, with the International Atomic Energy Agency regulations for nuclear power plants as they have been strengthened after Fukushima. In the area of nuclear power, there have been new technologies developed that allow smaller scale modular nuclear plants and other derivations thereof. Once again, PPPs will play a part in support as funding in this period is limited. Furthermore, we must examine the entire system of transmission and distribution for the purpose of finding ways to lower the price of energy to the consumer and to industry. We must expand the network of our transmission lines while examining schemes to improve the operation of our electrical cooperatives. All this in aid of reducing energy costs, especially but not limited to households. All this impetus for development and growth we undertake within the context of accelerating climate change and extreme weather conditions. Though we are a minor contributor to climate change globally, we have the unfortunate distinction of being one of the most vulnerable countries to the effects of climate change. For the welfare of our people, it is incumbent upon us to alleviate the effects of that vulnerability. The use of renewable energy is at the top of our climate agenda. We will increase our use of renewable energy sources such as hydropower, geothermal power, solar, and wind. Geographically, we are a disaster-prone country. Capacity building for our natural disaster resiliency is therefore a must. Investment in science and technology is imperative to enable us to have accurate weather forecasts and on-time disaster alerts. Studies show that already now, many areas in the Philippines are at high risk from the rise in sea levels brought about by the increase in global temperature. We must adapt to this phenomenon with disaster-proof planning for our communities. We will also look into the precarious fresh water supply situation in the country, especially in our urban areas. Many of our water supply systems date back to the 1950s, and they must now be rehabilitated and improved. I've instructed the DNR, together with the DPWH, to explore possible partnerships with the private sector to address this crucial situation. The Philippines has excellent laws on the environment, but we have to guarantee that these laws are properly enforced. And this will require a great deal of coordination and cooperation between concerned government agencies and private stakeholders. Companies who exploit our natural resources must follow the law. We all have the responsibility to preserve this earth, for we are but custodians and we will pass on this great treasure to future generations. There is no question that the preservation of the environment is the preservation of life. If we cannot mitigate climate change, all our plans for the economy, all our plans for our future will be for naught. Bawat Pilipino sa ibayong dagat na nagsasakripisyong lisanin ang kanyang pamilya sa Pilipinas upang maghanap buhay ay nararapat lamang magkaroon ng pamahalaang matatawag nilang tahanan habang nasa ibang bayan. Ito ang papel na gagampanan ng kagawaran ng manggagawang mandarayuhan o Department of Migrant Workers matapos itong ideklara bilang ganap na ahensya ng gobyerno ng isang taon. Ang kagawarang ito ang magsisilbing kanlungan ng ating mga kababayan sa gitna ng mundong walang kasiguruhan at mahigpit na kompetisyon. Ito ang maglalatag sa kanila ng mga oportunidad. Titiyak na ang kanilang mga hanap buhay ay tugma sa kanilang mga kasanayan. Maninigurong akma ang sahod at maayos ang kalagayan sa kanilang mga kumpanya at mga ngalaga sa kanilang mga pamilya habang sila ay nasa malayo. Gagawin natin ito sa pamamagitan ng pag-aalis ng red tape sa sistema ng pagsusulong ng digital empowerment. We shall automate the verification of contracts and issue secure overseas employment certifications that you can keep on your smartphone. I call on the Department of Migrant Workers and the DICT to make this a top priority. Tinatawagan ko rin ang Department of Foreign Affairs na makipagtulungan sa Department of Migrant Workers na tiyakin ang lahat ng mga diplomatic post ay tutulong na agarang maibalik sa trabaho ang mga ating mga overseas Filipino workers na nawalan ng hanap buhay nitong nakalipas na ilang taon. Mula sa 3 buwan ay gagawin na lang nating 3 linggo para sa isang dayuhang employer na iproseso ang mga papeles ng Pilipinas, ng Pilipinong nais nitong kunin bilang empleyado. Aatasan din natin ang kagawaran ng gawing simple, ang komplikadong handbook ng mga tuntunin at regulasyon para sa mga OFW. Nang sa gayon ay maging malwan ang mga transaksyon may kinalaman sa kanilang pangingibang bansa. Mula sa handbook na may 240 seksyon, ay gagawin nating pamphlet na lamang na hindi hihigit sa 100 pahina. Mahirap na nga ang buhay. Kaya naman, ayaw pa natin makitang lalo pang nahihirapan ang ating mga manggagawang mandarayuhan sa pagtupad sa kanilang mga pangarap. Para sa mga kababayan nating naiipit sa kaguluhan, inaabuso at nanganganib ang buhay, ikinagagalak kong sa ilalim ng aking pamumuno ay ilulunsad natin ang One Repatriation Command Center o ORCC. Ilalaan natin ang isang social media platform ng Department of Migrant Workers at ang hotline upang matulungan agad at maligtas sila mula sa mas higit na kapahamakan. Noon, nangungutang pa ang isang ina ng bawat OFW upang sumakay ng barko para pumunta sa Maynila at mangatok sa iba't ibang ahensya para mapauwi ang anak na inaapi. Ngayon, kami na ang tatawag sa mga magulang ng OFW para sabihin sa kanila ang petsa kung kailan nila mayayakap at makakapiling ang kanilang mga anak. Sa kasalukuyan ay nakikipag-ugnayan tayo sa pamahalaan ng Saudi Arabia upang buksan muli ang deployment. Kaya natin at gagawin natin ang makipagnegosasyon na mabigyan ang ating mga kababayan doon ng tamang pasahod at mapangalagaan ang kanilang karapatan at kapakanan. Muli natin patitibayin ang respeto at pagkakaibigan ng ating dalawang bansa tulad ng namamagitan sa ating ama sa kanilang hari. Sa mga susunod na buwan ay magtutungo si Secretary Susan Opre sa Saudi Arabia upang tiyakin na may sapat na puwersang magsisiguro na mabubuksan muli ang empleo sa bansa at para maisulong ang ating kampanya laban sa human trafficking. Ngayon, para naman sa mga anak na naiwan sa Pilipinas, titiyakin ng Department of Migrant Workers sa pamamagitan ng OWA na sila ay maipapasok sa magagandang paaralan, magtuturo sa kanila ng financial literacy, mental wellness, sports, sining, kultura. Ito ay mangyayari sa pakikipagtulungan ng iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan. Alagaan natin ang kabataang Pilipino sapagkat sila ang kinabukasan ng ating inang bayan. Sa ating mga kababayan na nasa ibang bansa, you deserve a home in government, not only for the money that you send home, but you are not cold tools of the economy. You deserve it for your sacrifices, for our country and your perseverance and excellence in the global arena. You OFWs represent the fighting faith of the Filipinos as a nation and as a people. Let us transform your overseas journey into inspirational stories for all time. Thanks to you, our dear legislators, and of course to the man every OFW now refers to as their tatay, President Rodrigo Duterte. You passed the law that created this new home for our OFWs. On the area of foreign policy, I will not preside over any process that will abandon even 1 square inch of territory of the Republic of the Philippines to any foreign power. With respect to our place in the community of nations, the Philippines shall continue to be a friend to all, an enemy to none. The Philippines has always been open and welcoming to all our foreign friends and visitors. That is our worldview. That is our culture. But let me be clear. We are very jealous of all that is Filipino. We will be a good neighbor, always looking for ways to collaborate and cooperate with the end goal of mutually beneficial outcomes. If we agree, we will cooperate and we will work together. And if we differ, let us talk some more until we develop a consensus. After all, that is the Filipino way. But we will not waver. We will stand firm in our independent foreign policy with the national interest as our primordial guide. We commit to maintaining good relations with the rest of the world. As a matter of fact, it is my sincere belief that the need for strong bonds and collaboration among nations emerges in the direst of times, such as in a pandemic. The partnerships and alliances that we make with all will provide stability that all nations will need as we emerge into this new global economy. The Philippines will continue to promote stronger and multifaceted relationships with all our partners around the world. We are, in fact, grateful for the messages of support and offers of help that we have received from many of our friends in the international community. This has been communicated to us through the different envoys and ambassadors here in the Philippines. Such strong relationships can only be beneficial to all involved. As I am here today addressing the legislature, allow me now to propose legislation that we would like you to pass in support of these programs. 1, National Government Right-Sizing Program, a reform mechanism that seeks to enhance the government's institutional capacity to perform its mandate and to provide better services while ensuring optimal and efficient use of resources. Compared to previous government reorganization efforts, the NGRP will entail a comprehensive strategic review of the functions, operations, organization, system, and processes of the different agencies, and massive and transformational initiatives in agencies concerned, such as mergers, consolidations, splitting, transfer, and even the abolition of some offices. The right-sizing efforts will also involve the conduct of a comprehensive strategic review of functions, programs, and projects that will cut across various agencies. Number 2, a budget modernization bill. This seeks to institutionalize a cash-based budgeting system under Executive Order number 91, Series 2019, to strengthen fiscal discipline in the allocation and use of budget resources by ensuring that every peso budgeted by the government would lead to the actual delivery of programs and projects. The full implementation of the CBS is timely and vital as the government executes response and recovery plans post-pandemic. Number 3, Tax Package 3 Valuation Reform Bill. This bill provides for the A, establishment of real property values and valuation standards across the country, and B, the development of real property information system that provides for the database of all real property transaction and declarations in the country. Number 4, Passive Income and Financial Intermediary Taxation Act. This seeks to reform the taxation of capital income and financial services by redesigning the financial sector taxation into simpler, fairer, more efficient, and a revenue-neutral tax system. It also represents to adopt a regionally competitive tax system. Number 5, E-Government Act, which provides for the establishment of the e-government master plan, which shall cover all e-government services and processes. Number 6, the Internet Transaction Act, or e-commerce law, which aims to establish an effective regulation of commercial activities through the internet or electronic means to ensure that consumer rights and data privacy are protected, innovation is encouraged, fair advertising practices and competition are promoted. Online transactions are secured, intellectual property rights are protected, and product standards and safety are observed. Number 7, Government Financial Institutions Unified Initiatives to Distressed Enterprises for Economic Recovery. This seeks to provide financial assistance to distressed enterprises critical to economic recovery through programs and initiatives to be implemented by the Land Bank of the Philippines, the Development Bank of the Philippines, and the Philippine Guarantee Corporation for purposes of addressing liquidity or solvency problems of MSMEs and strategically important industries to encourage their continued operation and maintain employment. Number 8, the establishment of a Medical Reserve Corps. Establishes a Medical Reserve Corps under the Health and Emergency Management Bureau of the DOH. The MRC shall be composed of licensed physicians, medical students who have completed their 4 years of medical courses, graduates of medicine, registered nurses, licensed allied health professionals. Number 9, National Disease Prevention Management Authority. This bill seeks to create the Center for Disease Prevention and Control attached to the DOH. Number 10, the creation of the Virology Institute of the Philippines. This will create the Virology Science and Technology Institute of the Philippines as an attached agency of the DOST. All offices and units under the DOST with functions related to virology shall now be transferred to the Virology Institute of the Philippines. Number 11, the Department of Water Resources. This seeks to create the Department of Water Resources and adopts the integrated water resource management as the strategic framework for national water management, policymaking, and planning. Number 12, Unified System of Separation, Retirement, and Pension. This grants a monthly disability pension in lieu of disability benefits provided under existing laws for military and uniformed personnel retired by reasons of disability. Number 13, the E-Governance Act. It promotes the use of internet, and other ICT to provide opportunities for citizens. Number 14, the National Land Use Act. This will provide for a rational and holistic management and development of our country's land and water resources, hold owners accountable for making these lands productive and sustainable, strengthen the LGU to manage ecological balance within its jurisdiction. It also provides for land use and physical planning framework as a mechanism in determining policies and principles to implement this legislative measure. Number 15, the National Defense Act. This seeks to amend the antiquated National Defense Act of 1935 to provide for a change in the military structure of the armed forces of the Philippines that is more responsive to current and future non-conventional security threats to the country's territorial integrity and national sovereignty. Number 16, Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps and National Service Training Program. This seeks to reinstitute the ROTC program as a mandatory component of senior high school programs, grades 11 and 12, in all public and private tertiary level educational institutions. The aim is to motivate, train, organize, and mobilize students for national defense preparedness, including disaster preparedness and capacity building for risk-related situations. Number 17, enactment of an enabling law for the natural gas industry. This seeks to foster the development of the midstream natural gas industry in a bid to strengthen Philippine energy security by diversifying the country's primary sources of energy and promoting the role of natural gas as a complementary fuel to variable renewable energy. Number 18, amendments to the Electric Power Industry Reform Act, or EPIRA. This aims to improve the implementation of the law's provisions and enhance its effectiveness to address the high cost of electricity, alleged market collusion, and insufficient power supply. The bill seeks to restructure the Energy Regulation Commission to foster accountability and improve the Commission's government system that would ensure consumer protection and in enhancing competitive operation of the electricity market. Number 19, amendments to the Build, Operate, Transfer Law. This seeks to improve the implementation of the public-private partnership program and to be able to direct the desired outputs and outcomes in line with the strategic development targets of the country. Specifically, the amendments seek to, 1, address the ambiguities in the existing law, 2, address the bottlenecks and challenges affecting the implementation of the PPP program, and 3, foster a more competitive and enabling environment for PPPs. To my fellow Filipinos, ang aking mga minamahal na kababayan, batid ko na hindi madali ang ating pinagdaraanan sa nakaraang higit na 2 taon. Alam ko rin na ang bawat isa sa inyo ay ginagawa ang lahat ng inyong makakaya upang patuloy na harapin ang lahat na pagsubok sa kasalukuyan. I do not intend to diminish the risks and the challenges that we face in this turbulent time in global history. And yet, I see sunlight filtering through these dark clouds. We have assembled the best Filipino minds to help navigate us to this global crisis that we are now facing. We will endure. Let our Filipino spirit ever remain undimmed. I know this in my mind. I know it in my heart. I know it in my very soul. The state of the nation is sound. Thank you and good afternoon. Marami pong salamat sa inyong lahat.
Yeah, I couldn't leave anything out. Ladies and gentlemen, on the part of the Senate, the joint session is adjourned.
On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint session is adjourned.
Hello. Hello, sounds. Hello, check. Ayan. Kung susumahin kasi natin yung kanyang mga sinabi, especially doon sa pagprotekta sa ating soberenya, di ba? Either national or local. Kaya niya sinabi tungkol dyan sa pagbabalik ng ROTC upang maayan ng mga kabataan. Hindi man indirect man na nasabi regarding do sa war on drugs na hinahanap natin or sa insurgencies. kung uunawain natin yung punto de vista, nandoon siya, nakapaloob siya doon, hindi na siya masyadong pinahaba to specify accordingly. Pero kung titignan mo or aanalisahin natin yung kanyang mga sinabi regarding sa parte na yon, no? Na yung mga pagbabago, yung pagdevelop, yung para sa mamamayan, sa Pilipinas man or nasa labas, dahil nga ang laging nagiging dahilan ng insurgencies or ng sinasabi tungkol sa droga is nang dahil nga naliligaw ang mga kabataan, nang dahil hindi sila napoprotektahan or hindi sila nagkakaroon ng mga ibang events or anything na mas matututukan nila kaysa doon sa sasabihin na undisciplined ways ng kanilang paglaki, no? Alam ko hahanapin nating lahat yung tema ng babanggitin diretso is war on drugs directly or insurgency directly. And mostly sabi nga the NTF-ELCAC, the all groups will always talk things regarding this. Pero kung titingnan kasi natin, solusyon ng kabuhayan, ng kapakanan ng mga mamamayan, ang lahat ng itinakil. Kung mapapatupad ang lahat ng sitwasyon, mga kaibigan, makikita mo na sabi nga, kung ang nagiging dahilan ng pagsanib or insurhensya, ng dahil nga doon sa ganito, sa ganyan, sa mga binanggit niya kanina sa agrikultura, sa land reforms, di ba? Etc., sa edukasyon, at kung ano-ano pa. Pag pinagsama-sama mo siya, ay mga solusyon siya na magbibigay ng daan ukol doon sa ninanais natin. Kung ang mga bata ay maibabalik muli ang disiplina, yung mga sports, yung mga events, kultura, at kung ano-ano pa, di ba? Ano yan pag-alis sa kanila doon sa isang bagay na maaari nilang matutukan. So kung titingnan natin ng mga gano'ng sitwasyon, sabi nga, iyahayag mo ang solusyon kesa pag-usapan ng problema. Kasi ako man inaantay, pero habang pinakikinggan ko siya, habang isa-isa niya sinasabi, mula nag-umpisa tayo hanggang sa ngayon na natapos ang State of the Nation address ng ating Pangulo. Diba? Karamihan na binanggit niya ay pagbabago, solusyon, plano, diba? Na ma-achieve. Pag na-achieve natin, sabi nga, lalakas. No? Yung pagbabalik ng ROTC na nasabi, diba? Yung sinasabi na target na yung poverty rate, no? Or yung tinatawag na maibaba ng 8%. Wow, nakakalula yun. Dahil kung titingnan ngayon ang projection regarding that matter, is medyo mataas-taas, no? Nasa 40% plus, no, ang takbo na sinasabi na poverty rate daw according to the statistics. Na kung magagampanan at magagawa ng gano'n sa pagtutulong-tulong lang lahat ng nasa sangay ng pamahalaan. 'Di ba? Doon natin tingnan kung ang sasabihin insurhensya nga pinagmumula ng ganito, ganyan, 'di ba? Sasama ka pa ba sa mga ganong grupo? Kung halimbawa umaayos ang takbo ng buhay mo. Sa kabataan naman, mas gugustuhin mo ba ang magdroga? Kung sasabihin na pahigpit, mas nahigpitan ang sistema ng pamamahala at maging malinis ang pamamahala ng ating mga kapulisan at kasundaluhan. Diba? Matuto mga bata na manumbalik yung kanilang tema ng pagmamahal sa bansa. Na pagmamahal sa bansa. Mailagay yung sa sistema na sinasabing may iba silang pinagkakaabalahan. Yung pagiging patriot at tamang pamamalakad na maisasagawa regarding sa ROTC at hindi lang tungkol sa military training yan, kundi yung mga mapakinabangan yung kanilang mga magiging kaalaman doon sa tema na may mga kalamidad, paano silang tutulong, paano silang kikilos, yung mga emergency situations. Kung susumahin total, nandoon sagot na yung ibinibigay niya sa mga napakalawak na problema. Hindi, sabi nga, don't talk about the problem. Let's talk about solution. Kung nanamnamin mo, nandoon po siya sama-sama. Yun po ang aking naging basa. Na sabi nga lahat tayo ay nangangarap na matupad sana. Sabi nga ng isa natin nababasa kanina, 50% man lang mangyari. We can do it 100% kung magiging optimistic ang lahat. Kung magkakaisa, magtutulong-tulong, magsasanib puwersa, titigilan yung kontra-kontra para sa kanilang mga pansariling kapakanan, yung mga nasa legislatibo, sa Kongreso at sa Senado, sa mga LGUs, sa mga departamento na hahawakan ng kanyang mga gabinete, di ba? Nandoon yung solusyon nandoon yung tema. Kaya nga sabi nga, panahon na upang maibalik ang disiplina ng bawat isa. Manumbalik ang respeto at pagtitiwala at pagsasama-sama. Wala namang mapapalayang mga sigaw lang na sigaw sa lansangan. Hindi naman katwiran na para mabago ang sistema, kailangan din na sumigaw sa lansangan. Hindi naman mababago ang sistema na anak ng anak yung iba at ang gustong magpakain at mag-asikaso sa kanila ay ang gobyerno. Kailangan na sa tao rin talaga ang pagkilos at paggalaw upang maging tama ang lahat. Yun po ang ating nakikita na sana nga maging ganun maging nasa iisang panig at nasa isang pananaw ang bawat mamamayang Pilipino kung ninanais nating sadya ang pagbabago ng ating bansa. Ayan. So, ayun nga Tilani, di ba? Ayan. So, hindi ko pa siya ma-open dahil alam ko pa, tinitingnan nyo pa yung mamang ito. Ayan, no? Ang ating... Uy, wala ka na naman daw mask. Ayan. Teka, hanapin natin salamin. Maliit eh. Hindi ka, pag nag-switch ako, backwards kasi yan eh. Diba? Melody Ang, mega shout out. Lani Chokson, Grace Romance, Melvin Warren, single mother in Spain. Sabi niya, sa kabataan po, pero ang pinakautak ng drug sources, wala sa point na speech. In general, you are right. Looking forward for that. No. But sabi nga po natin ganun is, tingnan natin yung magiging sitwasyon. No? Sometimes kasi is dealing with the problem is not always about speaking about the problem. Right? So, sabi nga natin, simple lang naman ang takbo ng buhay. Parang yung mga sinasabi nila tungkol sa recruitment ng mga miyembro ng NPA. Sabi nga, kung kahit may nagre-recruit, kung ayaw magpa-recruit, walang mare-recruit. Di ba? Hindi ko kasi kayang punuan yung kanyang hindi niya nasabi or sa aking naging pagkakaunawa, hindi rin naman ako nagiging apologist na kung nakulangan man tayo doon na direct niyang nasabi. Ang aking tinutuntun ay yung tinatawag natin na nandoon sa nilalaman na puro solusyon ng sinasabi. Diba? Pag nasa harapan mo na lahat siguro at naging masaganang muli ang tema, diba? At nabigyan ng kahalagahan, lalo na yung mga kabataan, lahat ng kanilang pangangailangan, supply, diba? Makabagong sistema ng pag-aaral, yung ma-involve sila sa mga sports, sa arts, sa culture, etc. Ano pa ba naman, kabataan? Diba? Iwas na sa droga, iwas pang ma-recruit ng mga walang kwentang tao. Diba? So, doon natin sa tignan na hindi alam na natin yung problema eh. So, alamin naman natin yung magiging solusyon. Jane Bantaran, Ederlina Aguinaldo, mega shout out. Josephine Macatula, Tia Maria Santos, Marlene Artus, Yolanda Valdez, Yelski Ali, Pay Omadle. Ayan. Sa lahat, Orlando Malquisto, Clark Shirley Landrito, Carol Trilliana, at marami pang iba na nandiyan na Chowking. Ang hirap mag-backread. Ayan, para Archer Francisco, si Raul TV. Ayan. Ayan, so sabi nga natin ganun, siguro ang tema natin is
Are Filipinos, one nation.
Hindi natin masyadong narinig yung ninanais nating marinig sa anggulo na yon. Pero let us give the benefit of the doubt to the President for that. Teresita Tismo, mega shout out. Ayan. OEC, I think kasi single mother in Spain, no? Kung titingnan natin, nasa pamamahala na yan ng head ng departamento. Leia Takahashi, mega shout out. So, maraming aayusin ng ang tawag natin dito sa Department of Migrant Workers, no? Si Toots Ople, si Secretary Toots Ople. Ayan. Curious lang ako, dumating ba si Senator Cayetano? Yes, nandoon kanina, natamaan ng camera po. Ayan. Kumpleto yung mga senador, nandoon silang lahat. Wala namang nag-absent. Ayan. So sabi nga let us focus about the solutions, and those solutions is that will solve all the problems kung bakit may mga naliligaw na landas. Meron nga lang talaga sadyang mahiligaw at maliligaw na landas. At the end of the day, we call that as a personal choice ng isang tao. Ano man, sabi nga natin, ano man ang ilatag mo sa harapan ng isang tao because of their personal thinking or idea about things. Minsan sabi nga natin, di ba, para bang gusto mo lahat doon patungo, pero gusto mo lilihis ka because you think na mas mag-evolve ka doon. Sometimes yung mga career, ganun, o sa kaalaman. But sometimes it goes more on naliligaw ng landas, and later on, kaya nga di ba, lagi nga sinasabi natin, nasa uli ang pagsisisi. So, hintayin natin yung mga darating na mga magiging hakbang. Nandiyan na yan, yung pagpapalakas ng ating kapulisan, no? Sea, land, and air na binabanggit nga niya regarding diyan sa mga sistema. At kasama-sama na kasi yan diyan. So, yeah, iba kasi pag diretsa mong narinig. Katulad sa sasabihin din naman sa NTF-LCAP, iba pagkarekta mo siyang narinig. Ganun ang magiging output and outcome. But at the end of the day, sabi nga natin is let us wait on how solutions will be and how these solutions will change yung pag-iisip at pananaw ng isang mamamayan at ng sanlaksang Pilipino kung nasang panig man tayo ng mundo. Right? Ayan, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng ating mga nakasama sa pakikinig dito sa naganap na ang tawag natin dito, State of the Nation Address, ang kauna-unahang Sona. Ayan, ng ating Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. Pag malayo tingin ko si FEM. Ganun ba? Ayan, so, masyadong yung mahaba-haba din yung kanya naging speech, ano? So, tutuusin. 1 oras kalahati, di ba? Haba-haba yung binasa. Iris Desma, mega shout out. Ayan. Ederlina Aguinaldo, we respect you. Pray for you, President Ferdinand Marcos Bongbong Jr. Stay safe and God bless. Protect, guide you always for your plans for the country. Watching from Italy. Melody Ang, mega shout out. Ayan. Inuna ang pagbangon ng Pinas. Single mother, lahat na sinasabi mo hindi national issue ang OEC ay patakaran ng POA. Kaya nga si Tots Ople na ang hahawak ng problema ng OFW. Yes. Ayun nga. Kaya it is para bang masyadong maliit na bagay para to be spoken, which is it has to be studied, no? Ng DMWD. DMW. Department of Migrant Workers. DMW lang pala. DMW nga lang pala. Dadagdagan tuloy ng department, di ba? Ulit yung naging redundant yung department. Ayan. So, ayun lang. Ito yung ating nakikita. Yan ang ating naging basa na sabi nga salita lang. Sana wag mauwi sa laway lang ang lahat, ang mga plano. Pero itong mga plano na to ay magiging effective at the end of the day, mapatutupad sa pagtutulong-tulong na nasa lahat na branches ng ating gobyerno. Right? Let us wait and see, single mother in Spain. Sabi nga natin ganon. Let us wait kung ano yung mga magiging hakbang. Yung pinoporma pa lang dito sa Ople, maganda na yung formation At lagi naman nasa focus kasi yung OEC. Right? So, are you staying in Spain or as an OFW, single mother, doon sa travel here and there ka ba? Kasi nagrereklamo lang naman yung iba. Actually, wala namang bayad yung OEC pagka yung, kasi I remember before, multiple OEC kasi pag kumukuha ako online. Kasi umuwi ako when I was working in Laos. Yung una kong project doon, 3 months, 3 weeks. Tapos nung nalipat na pirate ako sa mining, 6 weeks, 2 weeks, no. So maya't maya lipad balik, no. Then with the OEC itself, kinukuha namin siya ng multiple OEC. Wala naman siyang bayad, inaano mo lang sa online, tapos yun na rin ipapakita mo sa airport. No, ang nangyayari lang yata yung pagbabago ng OEC kung sasabihin nagkaroon ng change of employment or change of employer. Ayan. So, sabi nga natin that is a part of isa yan sa tinatawag na certification na talagang aalis ka as an OFW. So, kung bakit may sistema, kaya nga pinapano yung digitalization, di ba? Bakit may panibagong requirements ng pagkuha ng OEC tulad ng insurance, useless yung OEC. So, yes, marami nagsasabi that it's useless. So let us wait ang magiging ganap diyan sa pamumuno ni Secretary Tuts Ople sa paghawak ng DMW. Marami rin siyang mga bininanais na baguhin and sabi nga it's not an overnight system, right? So marami pang ipoporma, irereforma, i-arrange. And we cannot just ask things because we feel na tipo bang para bang wala siyang kwenta. Instant, kailangan mawala siya. Right? Hindi naman ganon-ganon na sistema ng isang protocol na ginagawa ng bawat departamento. Ayan. So, ayan. Sabi nga natin, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Tayo naman ay nakapagbigay na rin ng ating munting pasinaya at pagpapahayag diyan sa naging State of the Nation, no? So tayo naman ay mag-aabang, mag-aantay, tututok, kay kritiko, mag-criticize tayo sa mga sitwasyon na ating mga makikita. Kailangan maging handa tayo dahil ang pagbubulabog natin sa social media is a manner of reminders, hindi para manira. Tayo ay sumuporta sa ating mahal na Pangulo para sa kanyang pag-upo. Ano ba yan? Bakit nagkaroon ng echo? Ayan. At sa nadyadyaan na nga sa ngayon, sabi nga, nandito tayo upang pumuna, sumilip, at magpaalala at mga lampag. Kung may mga nakikita tayo mga pagkakamali sa kanyang mga gabinete. Okay? Again, maraming salamat po. This is Daddy Rick talking about the reality of life. At muli, ating ipinapaalala, ang buhay ay hindi isang problema na kailangan natin solusyonan. Bagkus ito isang realidad na kailangan nating harapin. Isang magandang hapon po, hapunan na pala ang papalapit sa inyong lahat. God bless us all. Zoe, mega shout out. Ang war on drugs utos hindi dapat i-broadcast kung anong dapat gawin. Sinisikreto yan para hindi mapagandaan ng drug lords. Absolutely, Ate Lani, right? And in the insurgency, something like ganun din na magiging tema niyan, di ba? Pabs Cruz, salamat. Thanks everyone. See you next time.